We envision a city where all residents can flourish regardless of their race, ethnicity, income, gender, zip code, or immigration status. Dallas's leadership knows this can only happen with a community-driven plan of action to improve residents' quality of life. That means collaborating with residents, businesses, and organizations to develop and implement data-driven policies that promote equity, inclusion, and resilience. It means working hand in hand across dividing lines that have historically kept us apart. The Resilient Dallas Strategy outlines how we can make Dallas a city of opportunity for everyone. 3 notable goals are to make Dallas a welcoming city to immigrants, leverage partnerships to address behavioral health, and alleviate adverse environmental conditions by promoting sustainability. As the first certified welcoming city in Texas, Dallas has reduced barriers and created opportunities for immigrant residents by expanding language access across city services, supporting families by creating a resilience fund during the global pandemic, and offering legal services. Dallas's approach to divert people experiencing mental health crisis from jail or unnecessary hospitalization is quickly becoming a national model. It's called Right Care. With the right people, primarily a social worker, paramedic, and police officer, answering 911 calls, mental health patients are receiving the right treatment. Dallas's award-winning Comprehensive Environmental and Climate Action Plan, or CCAP, is constructing buildings that are energy efficient, installing solar, reducing emissions, converting the light-duty fleet to be electric, and using cleaner fuel for other vehicles, protecting water resources, and increasing access to healthy local foods from urban farms and gardens. We are an all-American city and a community for all.
We are One Dallas.
We are all one Dallas.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Christina Da Silva, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to our Big Bang workshop titled Untapped Talent, Building Inclusive Workforce Systems for Immigrants. As the Welcoming Communities and Immigrant Affairs Division Officer for the City of Dallas, and also personally as an immigrant, I think this is such an important topic. I'm so pleased to be a moderator for this discussion with our esteemed panelists. First, I want to give them each a chance to briefly introduce themselves and share their organization that they're representing. Let's start with Delia.
Hi, I'm Delia Watley from the Irving Independent School District. I have been directing adult education programs with the school district for nearly 20 years. Irving, Texas is unique in that we house one of the most diverse zip codes in the United States, which speaks to the diversity that exists in Irving, Texas, and the many immigrants that have chosen Irving within Dallas County to make their home.
Excellent, thank you. How about let's next go with Gasan Abdullah.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Gasan Abdullah. I'm a refugee case manager with the Mosaic Family Services, and I've been working with them now for 5 years. Mosaic Family Services is a very diverse environment. If you walk into the office, you will hear more than 30 different languages, different background, which is really, it's amazing. So we cover all the clients, all refugees and immigrants that we work with.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Samuel P.J. Lopez.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Samuel P.J. Lopez. An adult education and literacy contract administrator for Workforce Solutions Greater Dallas. I work hand in hand with our partner colleague here, Delia Watley from Irving ISD, in providing adult education and literacy services to Dallas County residents. We provide all kinds of adult education classes, from English as a second language to high school equivalency, and more. Very happy to be here and kick it back to you, Christina.
Thank you, excellent. First, I want to just remind our audience members that 1/3 of Dallas's local workforce is an immigrant. So that's why this is such a key issue to be discussing as we talk about building our economy and healing our divides. First, I want to start off with addressing the first question to my fellow colleague and panelist, Gasan. Now, I know you've shared with me, Gasan, that you and your family are immigrants who resettled in Dallas. Can you share your personal story? And also, if you can, share based off of your personal experiences, what are some of the assets that immigrants and refugees can bring to the local Dallas economy and our workforce?
Absolutely, Christina. Thank you very much. Again, my name is Gasan Abdullah. I'm a former refugee, come from Iraq, and I am a father of 3 children. In 2005, an envelope was thrown in the front yard of our house in Iraq by a sectarian militia with a death threat message that read, "You either leave your country or you are going to meet your fate." There was a bullet tucked inside that envelope. A week before receiving the death threat message, a friend's son was kidnapped by a militia in return of ransom. Even when the family paid the ransom, that militia sent the body of a 10-year-old boy chopped up in a garbage bag. I was very terrified of what they would do to my family and what they would do to me too. So I fled quietly in the dark of the night to Jordan, and my mother, brother, and wife went to live with our relatives and joined me a month later. Being refugees in Jordan was the biggest challenge of our lives. We felt isolated and homesick, and would only sit at home with no hope for tomorrow. According to the Jordanian law, refugees are not allowed to work. Due to that, I was not able to put food on the table. That is what all refugees experience, besides suffering from trauma-related stress and depression. 3 years later, I was called to distribute food boxes to refugees at a nonprofit called the Collateral Repair Project, located in the same neighborhood I lived in. That event moved my feelings and touched my heart that whenever I handed a food box to a refugee, I drew a smile on that refugee's face. And I realized that I can do more. Since then, I volunteered with that project and got some food vouchers, which helped support my growing family. When I started volunteering, I had no experience in the humanitarian work, and I was not speaking English at all. I used my body language to communicate. It was all about our humanity as human beings that enable us to communicate. After a year, I was hired to do home visits and assess the needs of other refugees. My life and my outlook started to change. Hope returned. I kept receiving promotions to end up becoming the programs director and a member of the board of trustees. The project has broadened my horizons. I didn't just like my job, I loved it. It made me feel proud of myself to help people provide food and necessities for their families. Working with refugees has become my home away from home. I'm one of them, so I deeply understand the need. As refugees, we registered at the UNHCR office, United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees in 2005, just like all other refugees when they flee their home countries. 10 years later, the United States of America was the only country that opened its door to welcome us to live in peace and safety among you all. When we arrived in Dallas in 2015, my family and I were warmly welcomed with open arms at DFW Airport. People walked past me saying, "Welcome to the United States, welcome to Dallas." I felt I'm home because I am home. Those Americans are loving, caring, and compassionate people. My family and I received great support here in Dallas, which enabled us to give back to the community. I myself stepped back to work with refugees as it is an integral part of my life. I currently work as a refugee case manager for the Mosaic Family Services, where we help refugees to become self-sufficient to begin contributing positively and effectively in the community. Now, this is the important refugees and immigrants bring to the community. Refugees and immigrants have a lot to offer. In fact, we help build developed communities and countries, and we did, and we're still doing it. My family and I are so grateful and thankful for being here in the United States, living in peace and safety among all our American brothers and sisters. Thank you, Christina.
Thank you for sharing your story of resilience and courage. I'm so proud that you are part of our community.
Thank you.
Now, PJ, my next question is for you. To give some context to our audience, you know that our partners at the New American Economy have data that demonstrates that highly skilled immigrants in Dallas are more than twice as likely to be living in poverty in comparison to their US-born resident counterparts. So PJ, I want to hear from you. From your experience as a workforce and adult education administrator, can you share some of the general observations of trends, challenges that internationally trained immigrants and refugees experience when trying to access work opportunities that match their skills or getting their education recognized? And in your opinion, how can institutions assist immigrants and refugees fill gaps in their knowledge without having to start from scratch? I think you're on mute, or there's something wrong with your sound.
I apologize. Thank you, Christina. Yes, I was on mute. Thank you for that. Yeah, some challenges I've definitely seen personally that immigrants have had include trying to find resources, of course, to evaluate their educational credentials. Many internationally trained professionals hear false narratives that in order to get a good paying job, you must have a degree or a certification from a school in the United States. Now, prior to joining Workforce Solutions Greater Dallas as the contract administrator for our adult education and literacy grant, I was a facilitator at our local American job centers in Dallas County, where I assisted our AEL adult education service providers like Irving ISD and the registration of new students for class. And it was there where I saw firsthand the challenges that immigrants have in trying to improve not only their language skills, but desperately search for gainful employment. Now, I was so confused why I was helping register international trained professionals like doctors and lawyers for basic ESL or GED class, and equally frustrated at the lack of resources available at our American job centers for assistance with job search opportunities, with job readiness preparation, in specific languages for these immigrants. Now, throughout my time there, I did learn several resources that have impacted, our organization tremendously. And one of them that came forth was NASIS, which is it's a National Association of Credential Evaluation Services. I'd never heard of it. I went to a conference and I learned about this organization, and that's where I first got introduced to WES, which is World Education Services. And recently, our organization, including in partnership with the city of Dallas, has ventured into a skilled immigrant integration program where we are trying to come up with different ways to enhance the workforce development system to better serve internationally trained immigrants. We're going to try to engage employers to recognize and leverage skilled immigrant talent, because in most of the talent is already sitting there with these employers. And we're going to try to identify higher education opportunities to support skilled immigrants in professional and academic pathways. So I definitely feel confident that our organization is going to be doing its part to move the needle. And I feel like other institutions can definitely learn in order to assist immigrants and refugees to fill these gaps by partnering with whether it's local chambers of commerce or or for regional chambers of commerce, for like maybe the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, partnering with other organizations, whether it's Refugee Services of Texas, whether it's so many different organizations that are doing such good work out there to help immigrants, and like our colleague here just said. So that is where I feel like our organization is making an impact.
Excellent, thank you. My next question is for Delia. As an administrator of a nationally recognized award-winning adult education program, and you just came from DC, so I'd love to hear some of your insight here on what was the thought process in starting a program that is tailored for internationally trained immigrants and refugees. These are immigrants and refugees that have, like PJ said earlier, maybe a bachelor's degree or even a doctorate, or they were a lawyer in their previous home country and they're here in Dallas. I'm curious, were there any key partners or champions that assisted in launching the program? Were there any challenges in the beginning? And also, what have been some of the successes that you've seen?
All right, I'd love to answer that. Back in 2002, when we started Irving.net, which is the adult education program within Irving ISD, we saw there was a need. This was during the digital divide. So folks, if you didn't learn technology, if you didn't learn how to use a computer, you may very well lose your job, or you weren't getting employed at many places. And so we, as a community, applied for a grant, infrastructure fund grant, and that grant assisted us to help our residents learn technology and learn how to use a computer. We partnered with the City of Irving, the Chamber, Irving Las Colinas Chamber of Commerce, the college, and the Irving Public Libraries. And Irving ISD was the delivery point where we deliver classes to hundreds and hundreds of residents to get them acquainted with technology. Well, as the years passed, we saw as our population began to change and more immigrants were coming to the community and choosing Irving as a place to make their home, we saw that there was a need for us to address English literacy skills within our residents. And so we then began to open classes throughout Irving in libraries, churches, schools, even business offices, social service centers, to offer English classes to our residents. In doing so, we saw the clientele, that was coming to us. There consisted of professionals there in their country. They were already professionals with many credentials and degrees. We had doctors and lawyers and professors, healthcare workers coming to our programs. And just recently, I had a teacher call and say, guess what? We have a mayor in the class. And we're like, we do? And I'm like, yeah, he was a mayor in this country. And so excited. And so we then saw that we were now faced with a different set of challenges, because these folks were having to come because of their limited English skills and take on these low-paying jobs. I talked to one lady, her name was Melita, and she was a teacher in her country. She came from Panama. She was a teacher in her country, and she came here. And the first job that she landed was at McDonald's. Because her certification there in Panama didn't translate here, and she didn't know what to do. So she just said, hey, I had to survive, so I took a job at McDonald's. And because of the transportation challenge that some of our immigrants face, because they don't come here with cars, and working at McDonald's, it's going to take a little while for you to get enough money to get a car. So she had to rely on public transportation. And so her next job was at the local drugstore as a cashier. So she still hadn't gotten into the education realm yet. She was having to take these low-paying jobs, but she was moving up. She got a little raise at the drugstore, but still not yet in her field. Then she started applying for other jobs and landed with the city of Fort Worth. And so the city of Fort Worth, the manager there talked to her and start paying classes for her to learn English, classes from programs such as ours. But at that time, they were paying for the classes. Well, with our partnership with Workforce Solutions Greater Dallas, we offer English classes free of charge to many of those immigrants that are in our community in the same situation as Melita, who need to enhance their English skills in order to get a foot in the door, because sometimes you can't even get a foot in the door to fill out applications because the applications are in English. The interview is in English. And so we saw that need and we began to hold classes tailored to helping folks get into jobs, especially when they were degreed in their own country so that they didn't have to take low paying salaries. I had an example of a student that came from Central Africa. And I worked with him personally when he came. He enrolled in our class. He was so excited about it. He said that, if he was going to be able to succeed, he was going to really have to start all over. That's what he was thinking. I'm just going to have to start all over. And so because of our goal setting activities where we ask individuals about their skills and about their background, I found out a lot of things about Raul. His name was Raul. And so I said, Raul, you were an educator there in your country. Let's see if maybe our district, fortunately with my involvement with Irving Independent School District, the place that I work, we then went to a job fair that the district was holding for our adult ed students in our classes, and Raul went. And Raul got a job as a guest educator. And so he was able then to get benefits and, be on his way to a more sustainable future. Well, then Raul wanted to move up because he had been in management. And he came to me and he said, there's a job that I want and I need to practice for the interview. And so he and I practiced together English, how to answer those questions in English, because I told him, Raul, if you go in there and you don't know how to answer, no. So we spent a lot of time practicing for those interviews that he was getting ready to go into. And so that's what we also do in our classes. So we help students with interview skills in English, how to create resumes. We use some of the high school kids from the campuses to come over and help our adult students learn how to create their resumes. We go through mock interviews with the students. And so, these things were resources that we could offer that were free of charge because of our partnership with Workforce Solutions Greater Dallas and TWC, who manages our grants, Texas Workforce Commission. There's a lot of things on the website, by the way, Texas Workforce Commission website. If you Google in AEL, you'll see a lot of things that are tailored to ESL for professionals if you're looking for more information after this. But the challenges really were validating those credentials for our students, because we couldn't do that. That was something that we had to go outside and do. And partners that helped us do that, Proyecto Immigrante, they had services that helped us. We had the Ana Mendez University. We partnered with the Irving Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and that came in and would help us with those professionals and entrepreneurship classes for those, because we know that entrepreneurship is definitely growing within the woman population, especially Spanish women. And so we would offer entrepreneurship classes and work with Irving Hispanic Chamber of Commerce in doing so. So we had all of those supports that helped us along the way as we developed the program for ESL for professionals.
Excellent. Thank you so much, especially for sharing those stories of having a mayor, of having teachers, of having folks who are already here in Dallas and want to contribute. And I'm so glad that you are, basically putting in the effort and championing this work to heal our divides and build a new economy. My next question is for PJ. So considering the fact that immigrants are a primary driver of population growth in the Dallas area, we're actually, not sure if our audience knows, but in the Dallas-Fort Worth, we are like #1 when it comes to immigrant population growth. So immigrants are choosing Dallas-Fort Worth area. I'm curious, from the perspective of Workforce Solutions of Greater Dallas, what are some of the ways that you're embedding and investing in immigrant inclusion in the local Dallas workforce system?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, we are in partnership with the city here with this new skilled immigrant integration program with World Education Services, where we're going to be helping our employers and our job seekers tap into the services that West has, which not only include the foreign educational credential evaluation portion, but it will include much more. It will include hopefully new types of pipelines for training purposes for our community. Now, I know that Workforce Solutions Greater Dallas, we definitely have stepped up in recent years since I've been with the organization, where our all of our job fairs, all of our hiring events are now due to the pandemic streamed virtually. We definitely put out a lot of different flyers in different languages, especially Spanish. I'm the one mainly translating these flyers in Spanish for our community, so that when we send these out to our partners like Irving ISD, like the other partners in our adult education literacy program, like Richardson ISD, the Wilkinson Center, Dallas College. I mean, we have such an abundance of partners that are doing the work out there, like Delia said. And I'd be remiss to say that, Delia was awarded last week by the Barbara Bush Foundation. She was flown out to Washington, D.C. to be a recipient of an adult literacy award there. And I mean, it's champions like Delia that really have made an impact in our organization. And it's just us being able to be a part of that, and to help move the needle, to help engage these employers to understand that the amount of talent that is in your system already can make or break your year when it comes to sales, when it comes to performance, when it comes to moving the needle. So I know that there's still a lot of work that needs to be done, and that's definitely something that I personally am trying to push forward with Workforce Solutions Greater Dallas, to try to make sure that and it comes from the top to the bottom. We've partnered with Metroplex refugee network meeting recently. I attended one of their quarterly meetings, and that was with Christina here, and it was amazing to see and hear the work that's being done, and it's inspiring. And I'm just trying to do my best as part of Workforce Solutions Greater Dallas in order to meet our immigrants where they are, in order to provide them with resources. And now our website, wfsdallas.com, is always a great place to check out. We post all our hiring events there. We have Facebook Live hiring events now, so we're trying to utilize social media to help reach the masses. So the pandemic also has pushed us in different ways. Of course, that's pushed everyone, whether it's in this virtual world, like Delia was saying, in this digital world, where you can't get left behind now, because if you do, then it's going to take some time to catch up. So I feel that when it comes to Workforce Solutions Greater Dallas embracing and investing in immigrant inclusion, we're all the way in. And we understand that is what's going to propel our community and our city forward to a brighter future. Yeah.
Excellent, thank you. Yes, and I totally agree. I'm really excited about the City of Dallas's partnership with Workforce Solutions of Greater Dallas. to embed immigrant inclusion in our local workforce systems. And so the public will be seeing some of the results of that partnership soon. And I think it'll be exciting for everyone. Also, as a great segue, in response to the pandemic, you're right. All of us as representatives of the institutions have had to rethink, recreate what it means to outreach and also as we think about our recovery. And so my next question is for Delia. What are some promising practices, policies, and programs that communities, employers, and even chambers of commerce could consider as we recover from the pandemic? And what are your thoughts of how we might be able to build a more equitable economic ecosystem that allows everyone to prosper?
Yes. Well, when I think about that question, I think about partnerships and I think about collaborations and community. When Irving ISD became part of the AEL consortium, our superintendent, Ms. Hernandez, she was the first female superintendent for Irving Independent School District. So I'm definitely proud to speak about her. But she immediately wanted to become involved. And she joined the board, the Workforce Solutions Greater Dallas board. So she sits on the board and she helps and she hears about things firsthand. She helps to make those decisions that are needed for the workforce. And so just because of her dedication and wanting to be involved and wanting to know and the awareness. And so that's what I would recommend for other programs and chambers and employers. Get to know the clients, get to know their backgrounds, get to know, their skills. Like I mentioned, Melita came here as an educator. She didn't know English, but she had those skills to train. And so when she landed her final job at HUD, Housing and Urban Development, she used those skills. No, she wasn't in the classroom, but they used her to actually become a counselor for those folks that were buying homes. And so she held classes and she taught, and she was a great asset because she knew Spanish. So she could tend to those clients as well. But it's because those managers gave her an opportunity. And at the same time, they were paying and sending her to go to class to continue to learn English. But they invested in her and they took the time to listen to her and evaluate the skills that she came with. Because just because she doesn't know English doesn't mean that she doesn't have a great education. It has nothing to do with that. And sometimes we use that stigma when someone comes and they can't speak the language, then we just assume and we make assumptions. And so, if we can just listen to our clients and learn about their backgrounds, I think that would be helpful. The chambers, they have access to many employers. Well, adult education and literacy, we hold classes, and actually we will hold classes there at your business. So if you have a place of business and you're trying to move your employees up, but maybe they don't have the language, you can request a class be held right there in your facility. If you have enough employees, we can create classes for them at our schools, at our campuses, and you can send your employees to our campuses to learn English, versus them trying to do this all by themselves. If they have that support from the employers and the students there that are in need of English, and they have the support, and the employers are saying, we're going to create a schedule for you so that you can attend classes, that will help. And the services are free. So you're not gonna get a personal trainer coming in to your place of business, holding a class, bringing in the books, bringing in the notebooks and everything. You don't have to pay anything. You just give us a facility. We'll hold those classes for you. And that way you can grow from within. You can grow employees to move into those positions and learn about, give us your manuals that you use. We'll teach them the language to understand those manuals. And that's so much needed in the workplace as we try to grow employees for Dallas County. Also, because of the pandemic, we had to learn about holding virtual classes. So we brought in a new clientele, those folks that couldn't attend our classes because of time or family or children. Well, now we have virtual classes. Well, those classes are also available to employers and to those employees throughout Dallas County, 18 and over, who want to learn English and maybe even get a Spanish GED or an English GED. Sometimes folks wonder, why do our professionals that come here, why are they getting GEDs? Well, sometimes that's an easier route. It's a fast route for some those folks that are looking for jobs that already have professions or whatever. They have to have that high school diploma. And if they can check off on the application, I have a high school diploma, that gets them into doors as well. And so we offer those classes here in adult education to work with employers and their employees in getting them GEDs.
Excellent, thank you. And I just want to say, I'm already seeing some great questions coming from the audience. I actually want to have Gasan address one of them because I think this can be something that he could definitely share. Here we have, obviously in Dallas, as many other cities, many companies are experiencing labor shortages, especially in key areas. And there's a great momentum around increasing access to diverse talent. So Gasan, I want to hear from you. What advice do you have for employers if they want to recruit, interview, and hire and retain immigrant talent?
Okay, we all know there are many advantages of having a diverse workplace. That is, when you put a variety of individuals together in the same room, what you will get is a different perspective and opinions that can benefit the business. And also this will allow that business to grow in a number of ways. Like just a couple of examples of the advantages, because I'm not a work expert, but in the way I see it, so the refugees and immigrants, if they were put in a place or a business, they will go with a greater creativity and innovation. What this means is whenever a group of like-minded people are put together, they will generate similar ideas. This is just because of the thinking patterns are very much alike. However, if you change things up by mixing a diverse individual together, you will have a workforce that's more prone to creativity and innovation. And also this will increase the productivity of that company because diversity and productivity go hand in hand. A diverse workplace is more likely to understand the customer's need, to come up with ideas to fulfill them. And in order to attract more like diverse workforce and refugees, immigrants, I would believe that companies would need to do a couple of things. So first of all, it's to in order to attract them, to change the recruitment strategy of that company by, let's say, for example, widen their talent pool to source individuals from various backgrounds. Also to highlight the fact that the company is diversity driven, and very important when selecting the interview panel, just to make sure that to include diverse member on that panel to understand, the diversity of the people or refugees or immigrants and what the talent and what benefit they will bring to the company.
Excellent, thank you for that. Let's start out with some questions, some other questions from the public, the audience. Here's one question. What are some successful ways you've seen philanthropy partner with corporations or local governments to increase access to jobs for immigrants? I'm curious if anybody from our panel has any recommendations. This question again is philanthropy. I guess it's like local foundations. What are some of the ways that local foundations have partnered with corporations or local governments to increase access for jobs for immigrants?
Well, PJ mentioned the award that I received in DC just this week from the Barbara Bush Literacy Foundation, Well, that's one organization that offers free resources to programs that are providing English literacy skills, because they are certainly focused on in the increase in literacy skills in Texas, because we know we're 49 out of 50 with our residents having high school diplomas, and about 20% of our resident community in Texas does not have the skills needed to actually read and search newspaper articles or attend training classes as far as understanding the literacy enough to do well in those areas. And so Barbara Bush Foundation delivers reading literacy guides on their website. If you go to their website, you can access those guides, family literacy guides, guides that can be used in the classroom. And this is something that they have taken on for years. Dollar General also very, very involved in literacy, increasing literacy levels and English skills throughout Texas. We even have volunteers that come over from some of the universities and they want to become involved. DBU has been a partner with us for a very long time, and many of their students who want to get volunteer hours, community service hours, they come and they work in our programs and helping our students. They bring their skills. If they have skills in technology, they bring those skills with them. If they're studying to be teachers, they come and become aides in our classrooms. And so, you know, the partnerships and the collaborations that exist will definitely expand programs and maximize on the services that we provide for these immigrants.
Excellent. Thank you for answering that question. Another question, and this one talks about policy, which I think is really interesting. The question reads, local policy often bars non-citizen immigrants from serving even local public office. Given this restriction and significant obstacles to citizenship that exist for many, what are the best ways to support necessary policy change for an inclusive work? And I'm going to sort of step outside of my moderator role and just share. I love this question because it's true. I mean, I think, unfortunately, we have a lot of federal and state and local policies that present a lot of challenges and barriers. And so I can share from a local government perspective, you know, we've been really working hard to increase access to citizenship. And that means connecting eligible candidates for citizenship with local legal service providers to provide legal assistance for free through our My Dallas Citizenship workshops. And we've hosted 2 even during the pandemic, and we're able to support over 200 individuals in getting connected with legal services. Of course, you know, we also have several partners and champions that host civics and citizenship classes. Of course, this is what it looks like on a programmatic level, but we need individuals and residents to share with our policymakers why it's important to help increase access to citizenship. You know, there's a lot of research that shows that when individuals actually become citizens, they actually have more access to job opportunities, and also it's helps increase their wages. So citizenship is totally a workforce issue. And I'm curious if any of my co-panelists want to share a little bit more, maybe what their organizations or institutions are doing to help increase access to citizenship. Delia, you want to share?
Yes, we do have citizenship classes, and we actually partner with USCIS because they have a location right here in Irving, Texas. So Jesus Ramirez from USCIS comes over all the time and answers questions for our students on citizenship and tells us about new legislation or information that our students need to know. You know, visas that are available, work visas that are available for students and how they can apply for those, all in an effort to get these students employed and citizenship. As long as I think we've been providing citizen classes for about 5 years. And each year we have I've gone to some of the ceremonies, And we have, because we're right here in Irving, Texas with USCIS, it's great. We can just go down the street 5 minutes away and see any of those ceremonies take place. But the partnership with Workforce Solutions Greater Dallas allows us to offer these classes for students and partner with the USCIS to help our students gain their citizenship.
Great. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that question because it definitely takes all levels, increasing access, and then also having residents really share with their policymakers at all levels why it's so important to build inclusion for immigrants of all status. Now we have 5 more minutes, so I would love to ask each of the panelists to share a call of action for our listeners. And how about let's start with PJ.
Yeah, so my call of action for sure is if you're an employer out there, if you're a job seeker looking for a job, or if you have a pool of talent that is in need of upgrading their skills, please feel free to connect with our 8 American Job Centers that we have in Dallas County. We definitely have tremendous staff that are eager to help employers, especially by helping them with different services that we can offer to help, with either filling those positions, whether it's registering your employer account on workintexas.com, which is our job search database, or whether it's helping individuals like job seekers registering for their personal profiles on workintexas.com. So I definitely feel I would be remiss to say, that we at Workforce Solutions Greater Dallas have so many great partnerships, and we definitely do not hesitate to jump on certain initiatives, and so I feel like that is what I would present to those watching today. Just feel free to connect with one of our American Job Centers website, wfsdallas.com. You can see our locations there. All right.
Great. So if you're interested in partnering, check out the website, identify probably the closest workforce center that is, I guess, geographically closer to you, and then mention PJ, and there you go. Okay, let's say, how about Gasan? You want to share what's your call to action?
Okay, 2 things, since we were talking about the citizenship. By the way, Mosaic Family Services has an integration department. It means that we have a certified people by USCIS to help refugees and apply for the N-400, which is the citizenship application. Once they hit 5 years in the United States, and we'll let them go through all the process. We'll help them out, and because this is a accredited program by USCIS, so that will be free of charge. And also, same department will assist refugee once they hit 1 year in the United States to process the application of, they call it the green card permanent residency application, also for free. So my call to action, since I'm a former refugee and also working with refugees, the call to action is to support refugee resettlement. What I want from our people, American people, our colleagues here, to contact their members of Congress whenever there's any kind of bill that's against refugee resettlement, is to urge the member of Congress to oppose that bill by email that member of Congress, call and leave a message, and just to let that member of Congress say, we are supporting refugees, we welcome refugees, and we are equipped to have and welcome refugees in our city. And the city of Dallas, it's an example to a city that welcomes refugees and immigrants.
Thank you, Gasan. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. We have less than 30 seconds left. I want to give a chance to Delia.
Okay, second thing, amplify on social media. Just share opinion, share messages, on social media. We welcome refugees. Thank you.
My call for action is to listen. Sometimes the climate gets a little sticky, but if we would listen to each other and learn each other and respect one another, employers, residents, community members, chambers, I think we have a better America.